Hello and welcome to Common Courtesy. I'm your moderator, Sean Nicholas, aka Desire S'Moore. And next to me, I have
Ashley Renee, host of Sex with Ashley Renee on YouTube.
our lovely co host. We are down one co host today. Nicole is.
Rest in peace.
No, she's not. She's not dead. No, folks, she's not dead. She's a little sick today, so she's sitting today out. But we have some fun things planned for you today. Today we have an interview with one of my favorite local performers, Miss Adriana Sparkle. I can't wait to get to that part. So let's get into some hot topics. Well, first, I saw that you saw Aladdin. Was that last night?
Oh, yes.
Yeah? How did you like it? Here we go.
It was. It was amazing. I liked it better than the original, which is unheard of. The production quality, Will Smith, Aladdin was so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just constantly turned on in a children's movie.
Oh my.
Yeah, no, it was so good. Everyone should go see it. I would definitely pay to see it again.
I want to go see it. I was watching, because I saw that, and so I watched Ellen's interview with Will Smith. And literally, wanting to be an actor, that's one of the things one of the people that I really want to work with. Is he seems like a lot of fun, but he's about his business. He does his job, but he brings that funness. Because, he literally came out getting jiggy with it, with Ellen. He almost did the whole song. It was really cool. Well, I'm really excited I'm a big comic book nerd. And this weekend, I'm off Saturday. Let's hope that holds. I'm going to go see Dark Phoenix. X-Men Dark Phoenix. I'm a big X-Men fan. And this is literally my favorite storyline. Because literally, Jean, their best friend, and Scott's lover, becomes... she becomes possessed by this cosmic being, and she becomes this all-powerful being. First she was the weakest X-Men, and then after she gets possessed by Phoenix, she becomes this all-powerful being, and it's this whole storyline. They have to try to save her from herself, and then it's too much drama. I cannot wait. And they finally got this damn movie right, because they did it before with X-Men Last Stand, but it was bullshit, because the Phoenix was the subplot, which that's bull. No. It's all about Phoenix. Anyways, I'm excited about that. All right, let's jump into hot topics. All right, so there was an article that a friend of ours sent us on our work page. It's called Burnout. Just give us a little bit of that. Open up with that for us, Ashley.
First of all, I think it's quite interesting that he posted this in our work page. Felt a little salty, a little bit, but definitely appreciative. So burnout, which I feel like everyone knows, but just in case, burnout is that feeling when you're overworked and you're exhausted and you dread going to work. You're overworked. That's
basically
what it is.
how I feel every day.
Mood, yeah.
Mood, yeah.
So basically what this article is saying is that it is now going to be a proper diagnosis in the psychiatric community.
Mm-hmm.
Which is...
Sorry, that's my phone. Go ahead.
He's
keep going,
so
keep going.
popular.
Go.
So this is revolutionary because before you could do it as a secondary diagnosis. So you could diagnose someone with depression, and then a subset of that would be because of burnout. But now, starting in 2020, it's going to be an official diagnosis. And that is going to rapidly change, or it should. Probably won't, knowing American capitalistic society.
Right.
But it should change the way that we work. So, I don't know, I'm super excited. It's not really a good thing to be excited about. This is terrible.
No, I'm excited about it as well, because honestly, it's a real thing, because I don't know. I mean, capitalism in this country is really tough to live with, because sometimes it's in Florida, if a customer complains, it could be something outlandish, and you have to go with it.
Sweet tea.
Yeah, the sweet tea bitch. Yeah. She was I'll tell the story. This woman was telling me I was not giving her sweet tea, so she got it from her table and ordered it at the bar. And I was like, Nikki, that's the bartender's name. I'm like, Nikki, which of these urns are you giving her? She's like, the same one you are. So, I mean, that's some racist ass shit. We're in Florida. Now, if I had been in New York, right. So, had I been in New York, I would have told that woman to get the fuck out. I'm like, I don't know who you are, whatever, where you come from, but don't come in here acting like I'm a fucking idiot. I'm sorry, too many F-bombs. But, yeah, I think it's a very important thing, because literally you have to deal with these like crazy customers, and it's the stress because like you. So I have dreams. One interesting part I read in the article was when you're at home, you're thinking about work. I have dreams that I'm at work. Like one time when I was working at Starbucks, it was 24 hours. 24-hour Starbucks. I was looking for my shoes, and we had these like little headsets, like the Dunkin' Donuts you wear, and you have the line that it goes to the speaker and the one that goes to everyone else.
Yes.
Right. So I literally reached back as I'm looking in my closet looking for my shoes, and I'm like, hey, does anyone, as if I'm asking somebody where the hell my shoes is, or I'll dream about work. I think it's a really important article to like post, and I think it was actually important to post in our work page because, I mean, I feel like Nikki and I feel like they feel the same way, though.
Oh yeah. Well, especially them because Nikki didn't leave the office until like 4:45 the other morning.
Right.
So I mean, they definitely know. It's really sad because this has just kind of become the norm. People think that if you're burnt out, you're working as hard as you should be.
Right.
In America. I mean, we make jokes about it all the time. I mean, I know I do. Like we'll be at work and we're like, "Yep, just did a 15-hour day. Gonna go to sleep and do it again. Time to hit a blunt." And like that's it. And
one thing I pulled from the article, the guy was like saying one of the ideas in America is that you work hard, you'll get what you want out of life, and I really don't see that. I mean, I see it because I think you have to work hard, but for yourself. Because I'm not. Ooh, should I say this? Yeah, I'll say it. Like I'm not a company type person. Like if you notice at work, I don't wear our logo too much. We can wear a black T-shirt. I wear my T-shirt because I'm there for me. Mm-hmm. I am there. Me being there for myself is also being there for the company, but I come first. Like if I need a day off, like I honestly like for a show, I make that shit happen, But I think that's the real bigger picture behind that idea when you say if you work hard, whatever. You have to work hard for yourself. You're not
right.
Because the biggest advice I got in New York was this lady. She was like, she's from Romania. She's like, I'm not here for you, that woman back there in that office, or this other server over there. I'm here for me. So Sean, figure out why you're here. And once I learned that, boom, here I am. So, anything else, Ash?
Yeah, I just, going back to that idea of if you work hard, if you're working this hard to the point of burnout, when are you reaping these benefits?
Right.
You don't have time, because if you have a spare hour in your day, you're not doing it to enjoy the things that you love. You're sleeping.
Exactly.
And it's a bullshit idea for companies to exploit their employees. That's what it is, because they're not going to. Okay, maybe whenever you're 60, you'll get to travel and then you die in 5 years.
Right.
There's just, I don't know, it pisses me off to no end. So.
Final note on that. My friend Alyssa, she moved out of the country because she's like, I don't want to work for a living. I want to have a job, but live my life. I want to be able to afford some of the things I want in my life, and that's why we're fighting so hard for higher minimum wage. I don't know where the ball dropped between the generations, but there's no way. 10 years ago, I'm getting paid $6.25, and now minimum wage. I'm 30 now. It's $8 and something, $2 out over 10 years. We're just gonna move on from that.
Yeah, it's a little hot in here.
It actually is though. I need to bring a fan out here. I forget every time. The air's not on. Should I flick that bitch on? No, we don't have time.
It's about to get even hotter because of our next topic.
Sex. Well, I don't know. Okay. So this topic I found because I knew you would love it.
Are you calling me a slut?
Yes, I am.
You're right.
I'm a slut too. Shit. But I found this article interesting with us just saying that. It's saying the reason why young people aren't having sex, and one of the biggest reasons, well, the only reason why they pointed it out was the risk factor. Today's age, we have, Grindr and Tinder, whatnot. You can meet people and things like that, all around the world or all around your neighborhood. But it's less risk to meet someone online rather than go out and meet them, especially now you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you can stay home and be safe here and not have to go out and face rejection. And what else is it saying? And also, but I kind of found the article, so that's the whole thing, this thing that as millennials, we don't like taking the risk when it comes to relationships. Relationships are too risky, which I think that's always been the case. But I think the problem with this article first, what did you get from this article? And then I'll go.
Well, I do just want to point out I'm Generation Z.
Right.
I'm not a millennial. And so there's a big difference in what this is. Because for me, I think that Generation Z are major risk takers. Sometimes to a fault.
Right.
But we're having a lot of sex. Trust me, we're having a lot of sex. But I can see where it's coming from the millennial perspective. And no, I got the exact same thing. I definitely want to hit on the fact that Tinder has changed our relationships and how we view that in risk-taking. But, I mean, that's kind of the appeal, isn't it, of love and romance is it's a risk.
Right.
Risk and reward. But what were you going to say?
I would say one of the biggest things that I found wrong with this article was the fact that it's an older person writing this. It's not someone that's our age. It's someone significantly older, because he's like, back when I was in my 20s, someone told me not to get cable. So that tells me he's got to be like my mom's age. And not that she's old. She's a part of a different generation. That's the one biggest problem that I have, because he's only going off of not personal experience, but from what he's seeing. And I would say, like, millennials are having sex. We are not like, I mean, yeah. Yes. Adriana's here with us. Yeah, I mean, I see what they're saying. Like, you don't want to, like, I mean, it's nothing to do with, like, diseases. It's basically about matters of the heart, which, honestly, it's always, like, a big issue about talking to someone new. But I found a way to, here's my dating advice. If you ever want to talk to someone in a bar, I may seem very, like, I'm a social person, but look around the house, like, I come from a conservative, like, background, I'm starting to realize that. But I'm very into myself. Like, I can go to a bar and not talk to anybody. But if you see someone you like, all you gotta do is just end up next to them at the bar while they're getting a drink, and then offer to pay for it or buy them a shot, and boom, you're in. It doesn't work all the time, but I feel that people put their money, if you put your money where your mouth is, that's what's gonna get you in.
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Yeah, hello? Mm-hmm. I don't know. One thing I wanted to say is one reason why I'm not having as much sex as I used to is burnout, because I'm always at fucking work.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Because I was
Full circle.
Hello? Well, I mean, I was meeting up with this guy the other day, and he's like, I can come over. And I was like, I have no fucking time. I'm working on this show, and I'm working on drag, and I'm doing Dr. Barbecue. Fall back with that shit. Like, I'll just watch some porn or whatever. But I think the one problem is that we're too busy. They have these young, like, especially your generation before you, they taught us that all you had to do to make it in life is go to school, graduate, go to college, graduate college, and find a big job. Mm-hmm. That is not the case, especially when by the time I got to college, the tuition is like a fucking house, like a house payment. And then you're in debt, and then all that debt, like, you're trying to pay the debt, but then you're trying to be in a relationship. But then when you get married, those debts go together. So you're like, it kind of causes friction between the two. And that's my whole thing. That's if there's any reason why millennials or any Generation Z are having less sex, it's because capitalism making us work too hard.
Well,
there we go.
Like, going off of the burnout thing, which I didn't think about, burnout is a physical ailment.
Yeah.
There have been times where, like, with my ex, he would try to have sex with me and be like, no, I am too tired. I would rather masturbate, because that takes significantly less effort.
Energy.
Yeah. So absolutely, it's a mixture of all these things, and also, oh man, I totally just lost my train of thought.
Well, just going off what you just said, like, when my ex and I used to, like, fool around, I would literally sometimes not want to, like, I want to be missionary. Like, I sometimes bottom, and, like, literally I'm like, let me just lay here.
Mm-hmm. Like, but no, even then, I mean,
you still gotta put work in, because then they, like, just change positions. Like, oh, fuck.
You have to, like, arch your back in the right way. Like,
you gotta know what you're doing.
Thought.
Take some thought, some work to it. So yeah, I agree with you there.
But also, so what I found wrong with this, I know that we have to move on.
No, you're good.
What I found wrong with this article is, it's not that people are having less sex. it seems that the issue here is people aren't engaging in relationships as
Right.
much. That's what they're getting at.
And
Because
marriage.
casual sex
Mhm.
is probably booming right now.
Some-
People are having more casual sex than they are in relationships.
Right.
This person who wrote this article is pissed off because people aren't
missed his shot.
dating
Right.
and having sex.
He also mentioned that too, and like, you know, they're not being married or like, you know, having children as much.
Yep.
I mean, I would think most people this day and age are like, oh, fuck, having a kid is like, it's too much.
Talk about not having sex.
Right. No, thank you. All right, so let's move on. Anything else?
No.
I mean, I can talk about sex all day.
Listen.
Same.
You read my mind. Before I get more hot and bothered, let's talk about discrimination.
Okay, really fast. Because after this topic, we're going to get to Adriana's sitting here patiently waiting for us. All right, so I think it's happened last week. In Boys Town is a bar called Progress Bar.
The irony.
The irony. Right. I saw that too. Thank you. This is why I love you. We see the same shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what happened was, I think the general manager sent out a email to a number of DJs that work for their venue, and basically, in the roundabout, I'm gonna shorten the whole. It was a long ass email he sent to everyone, but he was saying we're trying to change some of our things that we're trying to do in our venue. We're trying to change music, whatever not. So we would like for you not to play any rap music in the club. And they also followed it by like, this is not a suggestion. If you play rap, you will not be asked back. And this shit, the email got leaked. The email got leaked onto social media, onto Twitter and Instagram. And social media erupted like this. They were basically people saying this is like the most racist thing you can actually do, because upon further reading, I figured out that Progress Bar in that part of the city is one of the most diverse bars in that area, and they do play like, that's why people of color do go there, because they do play a lot of mix of like, there's some hip hop, there's pop, there's dance, but they can feel represented as well. So basically, something like this has been going on for a while. I brought it up because the year before, last year, Honey Davenport had an issue in New York at a very popular bar called the Monster Bar, and the general manager there they had a poster basically started out. They had a poster. It was Honey Davenport and her co-star Fifi Dubois, I think that's how you say it. Dubois. Okay, because it's French. I took 2 years of that.
Ooh.
And senior year I got an F because I was barely in class because we would go to Cracker Barrel. Anyway, those pancakes, dude, like you can't miss them.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
So anyway, no, it's not. I had fun, dude. Like, it's French class. I never used it again. I should have took Spanish.
You could have used it right now.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Anywho, I know all I need to know is menage a trois and like whatever that shit is. Okay, thank you. No, but I brought this up because there was a poster with Honey and her co-star Fifi Dubois, and it was these two and then two Latino dancers. And the general manager sent to the DJ who was presenting the night, because they were having it was just a Saturday night, whatever or not. He said, we need more beautiful people on this poster. I don't want to advertise like if this is a black night. So there's been like, there's been this thing going on in like the gay community. Because the gay community to me is a minority, and there seems to be like this like racist shit going on. And I'll be honest, I'm gonna say I worked in a gay bar in New York, and my bosses did not want me to play any hip hop music. He wanted me to play new whatever, like the hit songs, whatever, today's hits. But that has hip hop on it too. But he was like, I didn't want those type of people in this bar. And I'm like, and me being in a situation, I love the guy, but I've also known this too. You can love a man, but you can still hate the race as well. So I mean, and I love the guy, so it's hard for me to like look at him differently. So my question to you is like, how and why is this going on in our community? I mean, I want to we'll get Adriana on this after we go, but why is this happening? I don't know.
I wish I could tell you the answer to that.
Right.
But no, it is, a lot of it, I think, has to do with the community sits there and they think, oh, we are a minority. We can't be prejudiced.
Right.
And they're using that as a veil to be prejudiced. I mean, the same thing happens with transgender people within the LGBT community. Like, gay people are like, oh, no, that's not real. And I think the same thing happens with race. And that's really disappointing because, first of all, thinking of it from an economic standpoint, in the article it said that the hip-hop nights and the nights geared towards people of color brought in the most business. So you can't say that this is a business decision. It's a racist decision.
Right.
Because you were making the most money.
You
were exploiting these people and it was working.
Right.
So if you want to be racist, why not just continue to exploit?
Right.
You know?
Because they also mentioned that they had no problems and anything like that. There was no fights or anything like that as well.
Right.
But, go ahead.
Sorry, what I found really interesting is in the article, okay, so there were no fights. There was never any issues.
Yeah.
They hired extra security because they thought people would start being violent over the lack of rap music. And also, it's not just, strictly rap. Songs by Khalid, which have sometimes rap in them, they can't play that either. Which, those aren't aggressive songs. Khalid is, the chillest artist out there. He's talking about just getting high and vibing.
Right.
These are not violent songs, and that's how you know that it's racism, and not a violence issue they're trying
especially
to say.
that last part. We're going to get to Adriana, but especially that last part, they're like, everyone is welcome. They wrote a statement after everyone, reacted. They basically saying, everyone's welcome in our bar. And what it says, we cannot stress that enough. We are still going to play hip hop. Please don't read too much into this. And I'm like, and we're trying to look for something new. But the last part was please do not read too much into this. Okay, my question is, why can't people just be honest? You know what I mean? Don't read too much into it. I'm stupid. I don't know. I wouldn't know what that means because the whole point about what he should have said, because this happened to the bar, one of the bars I used to work for. They said that the owner called someone the N-word, and the dude made a video, and that video was so good. That girl went to NYU or something because she had me going. I don't know if it was real or not, but I think it's the response that you are giving to the public. Instead of just apologizing, what my bar did was they showed a video of her of how she was wrong. Basically she get free drinks. She gave a drink to a friend. They're like, oh, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what you do. And this person said, they wrote this statement, that's not what you do. It's easier and better to just admit to what you did wrong rather than making this whole thing up, being oh, it's not us, it's you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, this little email would not have seen the light of day if no one leaked it.
Yeah.
So let's move on. We're gonna come back to Ash, but let's get Adriana into this. So
just alike,
especially right now. Right. So, all right, guys, welcome to the table. This is a very good friend of mine. We just met last year, and I love this woman. She's been helping me in my career and many others that comes to her show. She hosts the Wednesday night Fresh Start Drag Showcase at Iberian Rooster in the Sub Central area of there. It's a club down under the restaurant. It's this show is basically featuring new talent, and I feel like this person really cultivates it. And without further ado, everyone, Adriana Sparkle. Yes.
Hi, everyone. How's it going?
It's going well.
Well, thank you very, very much for having me.
Thank you for being here with us.
Absolutely. So I didn't wear heels today. I hope you're not offended. I figured I was going to be sitting the whole time. So would you like me to comment on what we're
so we were just talking about that. How did...
I've experienced a little bit of this through even our own community. Southern Nights, Tampa had a huge upset with a Spanish night that they were there was the only night for Spanish people set aside, and they were having Latin, merengue, all these things, and all of a sudden a new manager came in and told the DJ if they played Spanish music that they would be fired, that it's supposed to be all inclusive even though it was advertised as a Spanish night. So they got all the dollars in, they charged $5 per wristband, everybody comes in with no Spanish music. So, then they made a big to-do, like, how are you going to market to our community, but then not play things from our culture and not support that?
Right.
And that, it just all comes back to, to your point, Ashley, it's not buying power, it's not dollar power, it's all about the feelings and reflections of whoever's in management at that time. And if you're chosen to manage a club, you're almost like a representative of like a state. You are supposed to represent the whole. It's not your own personal views. So in this particular instance, it's clear to me, and I grew up near Alabama, so I more so than other people, right. Well, it's a blessing because I honestly can see through this type of thing like night and day. So you want to say, oh, this is for the better good of the club and stuff like this. But especially if the dollar power is down, you are now taking food out of all your employees' mouths and underrepresenting your own community. So what's the real thing here? The point that you made out that he said we need more beautiful people on the poster is enough for me to understand what's going on.
Right.
If you want to talk about aggression, yeah, a lot of rap is aggressive, and I personally don't like 90% of rap today because they're not talking about anything. They're talking about money, bitches, this and that. But if you want to put on some good old Tupac, I literally we had to learn poems in my college lit class, and then we realized after learning these poems that they were written by Tupac. Yeah. It was lyrics from his songs because he used iambic pentameter and all these things. So the artistry and the just the genre of rap in general is not a problem. The people who make it are not a problem. The people who are setting regulations and rulemaking is an older generation, and that's clearly the problem.
Right.
To your point, you can play plenty of R&B, hip-hop, and rap that has no gun sounds, no violence, no nothing. There are millions of songs out there, and it's just really unfortunate, and I'm glad that this did service so that they could be held accountable.
Right. Because, like, literally, I mean, it gets a little old right now because, I'm now 30. I didn't think racism existed in this country still like it did. Because the 90s kind of blinded you to that fact. And even the early 2000s. But, I don't know. I just find that very, very crazy that you still see that, especially when I was living in New York. I didn't, people asked me about my boss, like, oh, is he racist, is he prejudiced, whatever. I would just give the company line, like, I don't fucking know because I'm making money, But had I had the courage today to just quit that job, knowing that I am better than that, working for someone like that, that does not even represent he may be making money off of my gay culture, because you have a lot of that, straight men owning gay bars making money off of our culture. But not only are you just support part of my culture, but you're not supporting all of my culture. And hip hop and rap and whatever not, that isn't gay culture as well. Anywho, anything else, anyone? No, let's get to Adriana. Yes. Like I said, thank you for coming and thank you for commenting on that because I really love your mind. I love watching you work on stage. So I have a couple questions ever since I've known you. How did you find drag? Like, how was it something you always wanted to do, or you ended up in it, or like? Give me a little backstory. That's okay.
Well, I did not plan on doing drag at all. I would say about, maybe 6 years ago, I was bartending at Mad Hatter's full time for a couple of years, and that is owned by 2 trans men. So right from the jump, I was kind of given the opportunity to throw everything out that you've been taught and really just embrace a community of really open-minded people, because I haven't been around so many hippies before. I've never been exposed to the Kava and Kratom community, which for the people who are not aware, it's a sober community, and they use different teas and things from other countries that give a similar effect of drugs and alcohol that we use here, but they're not harmful and degenerative to your body.
Yeah.
So it's an alternate way of dealing with any kind of stress or anxiety without leading to addiction and physical ailments. So this was a new community altogether, and they allowed me to express myself. So I would come in dressed like Clockwork Orange one day with a jock strap and one eyelash underneath, and then I would come in as a genie the next day, like I painted my whole body blue and had like a turban on. So they really, because the whole thing is like, oh, you tripped down the rabbit hole. So I really almost wanted to help foster this experience of like, where the hell did I just walk into? I've literally had people walk in and walk out because they're like, whoa, I made a wrong turn somewhere. And that's okay with me. I probably don't want to talk to you. So that's kind of where, as far as self-expression with costuming started. I grew up close to Alabama. My mom was super, super religious. And most people who grew up in religious families know that can a lot of times be to a detriment. So you're not just a spiritual person, you're living by a strict set of rules and regulations. So I was not able to dress up, I wasn't able to do Halloween, anything like that. I played with Barbies and stuff when I was younger, and the church told them that was going to make me gay, so she took all my girl toys away, took all my Disney movies away at some point, so I only had The Jungle Book and Fox and the Hound left because they had no magic in it, even though there's talking animals. It's beyond me. But so it's like I had this life where all these things that I had enjoyed at one time or another has been taken away. So now, as an adult, I think it's just funny, and this is the way psychology works. But I mean, I'm exploring. I'm able to really dive into all the things that I got cut short in my childhood. So now I'm able to make my own costumes. I'm like, I am my own Barbie. You know, I get to do my own hair. I get to work with a designer, and I do costumes. I sketch my own stuff out. So it's Trixie Mattel says the same thing about her mom, because I guess she always wanted Barbies, and they didn't feel, in the Midwest, they didn't feel comfortable. She's like, I could have been a realtor, Barbara, a realtor! And now I'm sitting here in women's clothing. But the fact that from me doing this inspires others is literally a bonus, because it was mostly just for fun. And one of my customers at Mad Hatter is Kezra Leon. He is now a singer-songwriter, rap artist who should be played in all the clubs.
Yes.
And he pushed me, and he's like, I'm just confused because you're so into drag, because I'm obsessed with, I always tell everyone that Drag Race was like my football. It's like gay football, because it's competitive.
Right.
You know, and it happens every year. There's a Super Bowl every year, you know, it's just passed. And go Evie. And so it was this thing that I'm really into, and he's like, not seeing how I didn't make the connection. There was a competition in Tampa at Club Liquid called Queen of the Night, and this particular round of competition was called Anything Goes. So he said, you're so into Matthew Anderson and the whole bearded thing, why don't you give it a shot? I was like, no, this isn't for me. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, step into this world. And he really, really pushed me and, like, guilted me. And he was like, oh, you're a pussy, why won't you? So I was like, okay, I'll do it just this once. And the minute I did it, once after on stage and after my ankle stopped shaking and I was, you know, not embarrassed anymore from getting red in front of the whole club, I kind of caught the bug, and I kept competing. And on the second competition, because this was a once-a-month competition, the second competition, I did a Cruella de Vil striptease, and it was like a cosplay competition, and I got there a little bit late, which is not in my character at all, and Power Infinity came up to me, and she said, is this just a hobby for you, or is this something you want to do as a career? And I'm just doing it, you know, I hadn't even thought about it at that point. I said, I honestly don't really know. She said, okay, well, when you figure it out, you let me know, because I have a booking for you if you like. So it took a couple days, and I thought about it, and I was like, because I'm a perfectionist, so I realized very quickly, if this is something I want to get into professionally, I'm going to have to invest a lot of money.
Right.
So I called her back and said, you know, I really think this is something I want to do. So I bought a really expensive wig on Etsy and did things to where I knew that I would look polished enough that where I would want to see me perform, you know, because that's the thing. You have to be what you want to see in the world, no matter what that is, you know. And so I tried to basically fill in this gap that I did not see represented in Tampa, because though I think it's wonderful that Florida has generated and created so many pageants, that has also hindered queer art expression as far as it pertains to drag and performance art, because now you're telling people, in order for you to succeed, get a title, get a pageant, or get booked, you have to have this many jewels, you have to have an updo that looks like this, your dress must touch the ground, etc., etc. Your undergarments can't be exposed. There's so many rules and regulations. So it was really interesting to me that this is a queer expression as long as you're doing it this way. And that didn't really make sense to me. So I was lucky enough that I got to see Aquarius perform. One time she opened for Trixie, she opened for Detox one time. And that was someone in my own community that I saw not giving a fuck about rules and just really being more punk rock about it. Because back in the day, I was like super gothic, super punk. I always used to have. Now I look back and it was boy drag, but I used to dye my hair like neon this and dye skulls into it and like do all these things. I painted my nails and it literally was like boy goth drag. So
this is sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
This is how you got to like Fresh Start, because a lot of times I hear you say it's like, you know, your punk rock drag showcase, like.
Yeah, I kind of grew up more than that and like in the punk scene and listening to like heavy metal and all this stuff, and also like a lot of punk and Jen and the General Torturers, things like this. So I was already exposed to this really kind of raw performance art style. You know, a lot of like thrashing and headbanging. It's not skilled like I see like drag performers or dancers, but it is this raw expression of emotion and of you know, just angst and all these things. So I kind of found beauty in that when I was younger, that people, you know, had their 9-to-5 job and then would come and be slamming their hair around and, you know, throwing their wrists and stuff. So whenever I got the opportunity to make Fresh Start, I had been doing drag only maybe 2 years, and I had, you know, gigs here and there, but it wasn't anything super consistent, and I would just continue to do competitions and things like that. A friend of mine who runs the comedy show at IB University, her name's Shannon Kelly, she's amazing. She approached me with the idea saying that we want to do an open mic drag show just like we do open mic comedy, and, you know, what do you think about that? And so I took maybe a week or so and thought about it and talked to Power and I talked to people and I called her back and I said absolutely not. Because I didn't believe that it's appropriate to ask people to perform without paying them. So I understand you want to do an open mic thing. That's cool for a comedian because you walk on stage, grab a microphone, you say your piece, and you know, you might have 1 million claps or nothing, but you didn't risk anything. You didn't pay anything to be there. You didn't. So when someone's stepping out in drag, you're risking everything. You're societally. I don't know what these kids' home life are. I have tons of kids who actually come there at like 9 o'clock and paint because they can't. Or I had one person say that their roommates threw all their drag in the trash and told them that they're not going to do drag while they live with them. So he told me, I'm sorry, I can't do drag until I move out of this place because they've thrown away my drag twice now. So, you know, drag queens are really societally risking a lot to, as a man, to challenge what being a man is to other men. By you walking out in a dress and catching an Uber, any cisgender straight male that sees that feels that you're challenging what it is for them to be a man.
Right. And
that's not what it's about, but that's kind of how it's perceived. So I couldn't in good faith ask all these people to come here for free. So we went round and round, and I really thought about it, and the more I thought about it, there's not a place for what we do. There wasn't a lot of bookings available for people like me, and furthermore, whenever I started, even though I did get that bug, I was red for filth in front of my whole community the very first time because the judges are passing the microphone around like, oh, I remember my first time in heels, and oh, I saw where you stumbled a little bit over there and you didn't know the words so you turned around. I mean, every single thing they were calling out, which is good for growth, but when it's your first time ever, that's extremely intimidating and embarrassing because you weren't even sure if you really even wanted to do this.
Right.
So I thought in my very new generation kind of way, like, oh, like let me kind of shield them, give them a buffer between that kind of rhetoric, you know, if they want to express themselves but aren't sure if they've even honed their skill enough to enter a competition. This is a kind of breeding ground for that, to where you can experiment, you can fumble, you can mess up, you can fall, and it doesn't matter because 3 other girls just performed for their first time also.
Right.
So I just wanted to provide a place of kind of solitude and expression for people. So then I called the girl back and I worked it out. I said, listen, I'm not going to do this because you're not going to not pay my performers. So let's get some alcohol involved. Let's get some food. Let's get something. So when we first started, we gave all the girls 2 free drinks and half off of food. And like that kind of got the ball rolling because I don't know very many drag queens who don't drink. You know, it's kind of
right.
With performance art, whether you do or not. Personally, I don't drink. I like to smoke pot because it's God's gift to earth, honey.
Mm-hmm.
But when drinking, there's just something about it that really does kind of help you tap into this duality, into this other part of yourself that you're expressing. So it just very slowly began to kind of chug along like a train. Like Greta Grip was one of our first performers because I knew him from all the kava bars and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
kava
yeah.
scene. And so I just asked basically all my friends who I knew wanted to perform but didn't have bookings anywhere. I'm like, hey, just come and like do a number, you know, whatever. Like the tips, you know, might be cute. And ever since then, it has kind of taken off.
Grown.
Yeah, so we've had to change a lot of things and morph the rules as we go. But that's with anything that kind of gets bigger. So the biggest reward for me is that from this, girls have been able to hone their craft enough to then get their own bookings and their own show.
Yeah.
And that literally, like, genuinely, physically, like, has brought tears to my eyes because this was me just trying to be myself and express myself and then maybe bring a couple people along for the ride. So the fact that other people have been able to put money in their, you know, in their bank account because of it is, you know, something that's very rewarding.
Ashley, you wanted to ask something.
Yeah.
I was getting to it too. This is a good story.
I wanted to know what are your biggest influences? Who are your biggest influences when it comes to your drag?
So my drag personally is first and foremost influenced by Matthew Anderson, and if I ever get on Drag Race, I'm gonna have to denounce that because there's some tea there, but
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to denounce it. So this will be on the record so they know. But he is, for those of you who don't know, ever since the beginning, the genesis of RuPaul, as we know them, has been RuPaul's makeup artist. So he has partnered very closely with Zaldi, which is the clothing designer who designs all of RuPaul's gowns and things that you see on the main stage.
Mm-hmm.
So Matthew literally was, I mean, just the creator of what we know as RuPaul today. He's been on America's Next Top Model, all these things, and he isn't a queen. Like he doesn't perform, he doesn't do anything, but he is such a good makeup artist and has such a narrative in his own right that he's used his own body to create works of art, and he makes like a bearded queen kind of character, but every time I've ever viewed it, it's almost more of a third gender. So my character is, I'm representing actual bearded women who in the real life, they suffer from POC, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and they grow male patterns of hair. Mm-hmm. So I follow a girl named Harnum Kaur who is a body positivity activist in England, and she has a full beard, like her beard's bigger than mine. And she's a model. She was on Allure magazine. She was on the cover of Allure magazine in the UK and things like that. She's been a body positivity activist. So my thing is to represent real bearded women because that's underrepresented, and people when they see them still pick on them and like, why don't you go back to the circus? And it's so because they're such a few percentage that people don't think it's real.
Right.
Matthew Anderson, on the other hand, is more of like an alien. Like he's like this. When I look at it, I don't see a bearded woman. I see a third gender, and I think that's beautiful. Like something that we haven't really seen yet. You know, it's this very in between. So he's my biggest inspiration as far as artistically, and then makeup wise, I love Kim Chi. I like her big eye. Everyone says that I look like Trixie, but that's to the untrained eye because my makeup is nothing like Trixie. It's actually very similar to Kim Chi. So for all the straight men who think they're being cute by being like Trixie Mattel, it just shows me how uneducated you are.
So
tell them.
Yes.
We were talking about this earlier before Ashley got here. I wanted to ask you about gender identity because I really wasn't understanding it. What we were saying, and doing in drag, we because from what I was saying earlier, I learned that a lot of people who are transitioning, they'll come up to me and be like, "You gave me the courage to come out" and stuff like that. But we were having a conversation about that. So how do you feel like your work affects gender identity, and how do you feel about that subject?
Well, the cool thing is that no matter where I go, people know that I'm a man, not trying to hide the fact that I'm a man.
Right.
So I've actually found it works for me and makes even say straight men who identify as straight men, it makes them more comfortable because they're like, hey, bro, and they're not feeling like they're trying to get tricked. Or, you know, because it's like if I didn't have a beard, they might naturally find themselves more attracted to me because I'm presenting female. But then the fact that they know I'm a man might make them feel deceived or some kind of way. So I've actually found the honest approach of me, and that's not unintentional, but of just me being myself and then being this mashup of a character has inspired people in a whole new way, and I think it's just because it challenges gender identity and what that is.
Because I notice you don't really change your voice when you.
If you really, my friends joke, but I actually make my voice deeper on the mic, which seems impossible right now. But like I grew up watching boxing matches, and we're like in ring number 1, and so I think on the microphone, that's my only frame of reference for what someone on a microphone sounds like.
Yeah.
So if you knew that, I'm like, hey, we got Desire S'Moore. It's literally just like fight night, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it's like I'm not here to trick anybody, you know. I'm not like, this isn't bait bust. Like it is what it is, and but as far as identity, it's very interesting because I've had people come up to me saying, you know, thanking me or saying like, oh my gosh, you know, you don't know this, but I just came out as trans like a week ago, and thank you so much for being you because it's been hard, and that's weird to me that a trans person is coming up to a known gay person saying that. Like, why are trans people scared to come out to people in their own community?
Right.
Not to their family, not to their coworkers, not to their lovers. Why is it? So that's just weird to me. And the only way I can identify with that is that when I date, I don't tell men that I do drag. My friends laugh at me, and some of them make fun of me because they're saying that I'm living a double life. But I'm wise enough to understand the prejudgment that gay men have, because gay men don't even know how to properly identify as masculine. So that's why a lot of them overly do it, and they have to be big as possible, and they want to wear harnesses and leather because it's like, I'm a man. But it's like, but you flick a fan more than I do, girl. So it's they haven't figured out. They don't have a model of what a appropriate and comfortable range of masculinity is for someone who identifies as they do versus how we do versus a trans person. Because I identify as male 100%, but and there's always a joke in the drag community that 90% of drag queens are tops, and I think that's true because we are gay men who are comfortable enough in our own masculinity and who we are that we can play with the feminine side. So all these like muscled up power bottoms who have this kind of complex and they have to overcompensate, it's because they might not be comfortable in their own masculinity. They might have not attained what they in their own skin. So I just think that's an interesting thing because it was a joke, and then as I've gone on, I've been doing drag 4 years now. I'm like, this is like over 60% of drag queens are top. Like I thought it was just a joke, but it really is. Like it's like I see their husbands and I'm like, I'm so confused right now.
Yeah.
But it's not for me to figure out. It just, the only thing I can say is that it's all about comfortability. So I hope that what we do continues to inspire people to feel comfortable to talk to us, because it's like, obviously, if you're wearing a pair of heels and you're a man, then I can talk to you about gender expression and gender identity. So maybe that's why both and you have high.
Right.
I have had experiences where trans people have come up to us saying, you know, you've helped me or you've inspired me. But I would love to encourage the narrative and the community as a whole, because I'm just very confused why they still feel ostracized.
Right, because, you know, it can also go back to what we were talking about, like, with the club and everything like that, like, the racism in the gay community. Like, it's like something like this otherism thing. Like, if you're not the standard visual of what we think is gay, or what I think a man is, you know, or something like that, we are going to fight against it. So just to, like, because we're running out of time, so you're doing 2019 Pride St. Pete, right?
Yes, I am.
Are you ready to like comment on that a little bit, or?
Sure. What do you want to know?
Yeah. Well, she invited me to be in it. I'm excited.
Oh.
So how did you get into that? Like, are you excited? Like, is
it hasn't really sunk in because I'm very this is actually something I struggle with in drag. Believe it or not, is I am bad at tooting my own horn. I don't know if that's because I was raised like super Christian and conservative, and it's like that's the last thing you do. Like as Christians, we're humble and we give all the praise to God, you know, which lots of us do. But He also created us to be expressive and to do what we do. So I haven't like fully processed, but I am officially the co-director of entertainment for St. Pete Pride 2019.
Yes.
So thank you. It was a very strange interview process, to be honest. I met a guy at Armature Works in Tampa. He was asking me all these questions. He was like constantly buying me things. He was like, oh, let's get coffee, let's get lunch, do you want a snack? And we're like going all over, and he's asking me all these questions, and none of them were in a sequence. Like, it was just the most random. So I was very confused. And then at the end of it, I said, I'm sorry, is this an interview? Because I'm confused on what's happening. Because he told me we're having a meeting. I had no idea what was happening. And he kind of laughed and he said, yeah, I think I've gathered enough information. I would like to offer you the job of co-director. But he was asking me, you know, things like what kind of shows have I booked before, or like what kind of entertainment do I like to see? He said, if you had infinite amount of money, what kind of show would you like to go to and see? And I'm talking about circus people and aerial artists and stuff. He said, okay. But it's like he was asking me all these for his information. So it was honestly just, I was like sideswiped with it. And he was like, so would you like to, I was like, oh my God, yes. I get to book all my friends, hell yeah.
Yes. Are you really like, I don't know, it's just, because you say you've only done this for 4 years. And for me, watching you, you're a very electrifying performer. Because when she comes out there, everybody goes
Notice
crazy.
he said performer, not dancer. Okay, go ahead. No, it's okay.
No,
listen,
I wasn't
there's a
saying
lot
it.
of shade going on everywhere. I went to Southern the other day,
is-
and one of the queens on the mic, she's like, sure would be nice to have your own show with just flicking a fan.
No.
Oh, yes, she did. She was drunk as a skunk. And I said, but at the end of the day,
I don't mean it like
it's
that.
all about, but no, I know you don't.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out that there are different types of drag queens.
Yes.
I feel like you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you're a dancer who wants to do drag. I'm an artist. I have a degree in graphic design. So I'm an artist who wants to do drag. And then I also feel like there's theater kids who do drag.
Right.
So you've been in theater all your life, and you have that expressive and all that. You know, so there's 3 types for me. I boiled it down to like 3 types.
Yeah.
I'm in the artist, so once again, more kimchi. I'm going to give you a look. Honey, I'm going to give you some visual stunning stuff. But my energy, like, I have all this energy to express, and I don't know how. So that's why it manifests into like a little tumble or a little table stand or, you know, what have you. And I'm just eager to learn all the aspects that I'm not.
I disagree. I think, because you know what? As an artist, as an actor, what I've always been told is you do work, you be who you are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when you come out there, like literally, these bitches are going crazy. This bitch be jumping on the table. I'm scared as hell to do that. But she jumps around that table, and even when the table used to move, didn't you? The front table.
It had wheels on it. It had giant wheels, yeah.
Like, there's nothing, because I think you're a very like amazing performer.
Thank you.
That some of the best talent I've seen since I've been back in Florida, because you, like I said, you are who you are. You know, not everyone can be, you know, whoever this person is. Like, you know, not everyone can be Beyonce, not everyone can be Whitney. The best work I would like. Some of the girls that go to Fresh Start, they'll ask me like Desire. They only call me that. They're like, Desire, like, you know, how are you doing this? I'm like, I've just started, you know, but I've been an actor and a performer all of my life. And that's, like, I'm not a makeup, we talked about this, I'm not a makeup artist at all. That's one of my least favorite things about drag is the makeup. And even the outfit as well. It's hard, like, it's not what I'm used to. But, like, Adriana, you literally own who you are.
Thank
and
you.
I think that's one of the biggest successes that's we're working for you and Aquarius, because I go, like, most people are going to your show every Wednesday. Like, I'm like sitting here like, I don't think I'm going to go Wednesday. Bitch, I'm going, just sitting here doing this interview. But I think we're about to run out of time. Ashley, anything else for Adriana before we go?
The comedy thing.
Yes, I did want to bring that up. So I have seen you perform once, and you were hilarious. I'm still waiting on the premium Snapchat. But so I was under the assumption that you were a comedy queen. How would you respond to that?
Well, thank you, first of all. I would say, what's funny is, and you know they say, and I say they meaning YouTube, you know, so life is about manifesting thoughts and energy and desires, correct?
Yes.
I swear to you, God is so real, because when I was young, I didn't know what I want to do. As an artist, you literally can do anything. You know, certain people are geared, they know what they're geared toward, whether that be fine art, like painting, or what. But certain artists, literally, I went to art school, and you have to try sculpture and this, and I could do everything. And I'm like, this does not help me at all. Like, that's cool. To everyone else, that's cool. To me, I'm frightened, because I'm like, I have no calling. But I wanted to be a comedian. I've always wanted to be an actor. I wanted to do hair. I used to tell my grandma all the time, I was like, I want to be a hairdresser, Grandma, and I only will work on long hair except for yours because I love you. And like, apparently my grandpa heard that. He said, well, he's going to grow up to be a queer.
Oh.
So.
Yes.
But flash forward to a week ago, he just asked me, he's like, so how's the drag going? He's like the most supportive. So I just knew that I wanted to do all these things, and what is fascinating to me, I used to want to go to fashion school before I went to graphic design school. So what's fascinating is drag takes all these art forms and literally stacks them and compartmentalizes them all together. So I don't consider myself a comedy queen because I don't write my jokes. I actually did one roast for someone, and she roasted me back. She's like, thanks, that was just a string of compliments with like some jokes in there, because it's like I didn't want to like go too hard and be too harsh. I'm a very like loving, lighthearted kind of person, and that's my goal in drag is to bring a smile to someone's face. If I bring a really firm, awkward boner, that's a blessing and that's a bonus, because I do like to be very sexy and sensual, and I like to change straight men who consider themselves straight. I don't think anyone's straight. I have been with women. I'm attracted to women all the time. However, I ain't trying to get married, so that's why I don't go down that road.
You stupid.
But I like to just bring joy to people. If I make people laugh, then that is honestly a bonus, but that's not what I set out to do.
Right.
So, and I don't consider myself a comedy queen because 90% of bearded drag is camp and comedy, and I follow some people in Miami. Their whole thing, it's like really crunchy drag. Like they don't paint their beard, they just put makeup on and stuff. And but it's all a joke. It's like ha ha ha, I'm a man in a dress. This is all fun. We're all just drinking, having a good. You can't tell me I'm not a woman with a beard when I'm in drag. I feel, and my friends even tell me, they're like, you transform the way you swish your hips, and they're like, you just act differently. And it's once everything is on, it's not one part. It's not the makeup, it's not the corset. It's like once I have nails, lashes, corset, heels, every single element on, it's like a whole new person.
Right.
And that's kind of how I operate. So I love making people laugh. But as far as like my songs I don't necessarily do comedic songs. But if there's a funny part, like Lizzo, I love Lizzo. And so when she's talking about, she's real sexual. So when she's talking about boys, and I'm like, being pejorative and suggestive and stuff. So it's like I use comedy in my shows, but I 100% don't consider myself like a comedy queen. Because I take myself more seriously than I should. Like, just everything. Like, it's like I want to like really look like a woman. And in my opinion, comedy queens, that's not their first goal. Their goal is to make you laugh and to almost be campy and to be like, oh, I'm a dude in a dress. Like I love, it's almost always old women, but I love when women come up to me and they're like, oh, where did you get that beard wig? And I've had a couple times that people thought that I was a real woman wearing a beard, acting like a man in a dress.
Wow.
And it's like this weird mind-boggling,
Mindfuck.
Yeah. So, bless you. I had one lady at Iberian, I performed at a wedding, and after the lip sync, she came over with tears in her eye, and she said, you gave our whole table goosebumps when you hit that one note. And I had to apologize to Jesus real quick. I said, Jesus, forgive me. And I looked right at her, I said, thank you so much. I have been practicing for years. But I was lip syncing, and so the fact that the illusion can push past the illusion and actually make people believe it, that's awesome to me. That's magic.
Okay. All right, guys, this is all the time we have for today. Thank you, Adriana, for coming out and joining the table.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys want more of Adriana Sparkle, she's there at Sub Central Iberian Rooster every Wednesday night at around 11. Oh.
And Saturday morning as well.
Oh, yes. 11. Okay, so she's there every Wednesday night at 11:30 for Fresh Start Drag Showcase, and also on Saturday mornings for a little brunch show, right? At Iberian Research, the same place. It's at 11
a.m. and 12:30.
All right. And this is Common Courtesy. Again, I'm Sean Nicholas, a.k.a. Desire S'Moore. And we have...
Ashley Renee.
And we are Common Courtesy. And you guys have a great day. And always remember, have a little bit more common courtesy.
Ooh.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.